What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Elo Bandit, and today I'm here to bring you my 1v1 tier list for Gen 7 December 2016. Now, if you're just here for the tier list and nothing else, no explanations or anything, you can just look down in the description. The whole thing will be down there. But if you want to hear some of the explanations about why particular Pokemon are ranked where, just go ahead and watch the video. Now, a couple things to note. Currently, there are some unreleased Megas that are relevant in 1v1, like Mawile, Gardevoir, Aggron, Lopunny, Bannet, Altaria, Ampharos, Diancie, Heracross, Medicham, Swampert, Tyranitar, and a couple of less relevant Mons like Mega Gallade, but we don't really need to talk about them. Custop Berry is currently unreleased, meaning that a lot of Pokemon are less viable than they were previously. Z-Stones are currently allowed, and a lot of Pokemon are kind of abusing them, more so than using them viably. And then Parasong has thankfully been banned, so Meloetta and Azumarill are no longer tearing up everything. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, so first of all, the S plus ranks are Mega Charizard X and Mega Gyarados. Basically, there's really no discussion over which Pokemon deserve S plus, and it's these. Because Mega Gyarados has always been a dominant force in 1v1, but now more so than ever, since it does so unbelievably well against the current Z-Stone abusers, Crustle and Dragonite. Charizard, similarly, is also an excellent Dragonite counter, and is just an incredibly strong Pokemon in general. We see it is a little bit better than, I think, Charizard Y, who is S-ranked, and the reasoning for that is he has the freedom to change his typing. Whenever you want, you can go from Fire Flying to Fire Dragon. He has opportunities to set up with Dragon Dance, and he has better defenses. Now, Zard Y has a little bit more power right out of the gate with Blast Burn and a little bit better coverage with Solar Beam, but overall Charizard X is currently dominating the meta far more than Charizard Y. Alright, and here we have the S- rank, which basically consists of Crustle, Dragonite, and Kyurem-Black. Now, Kyurem-Black in particular has always been an extremely strong Pokemon, probably in the past would be more ranked S. Now it's dropped a little bit in viability. The only thing that it does really, really well is take out the Z-Stone abusers, which are Dragonite and Crustle. Now, Crustle uses Rock'em Z to hit things ridiculously hard with Continental Crush. Basically, you just Z-Stone Rock Wrecker and then destroy everything. It also has access to Shell Smash and Counter. Whereas Dragonite utilizes Dragonium Z combination with Dragon Dance and Outrage. So you Dragon Dance up turn 1, and you've got Multiscale to prevent a lot of damage, and then you just hit him with a Dragonium Z boosted Outrage, and Devastating Drake basically one-shots the entirety of the metagame. So moving on to the A+ rank, we have kind of a lot of Pokemon, but you know what? These Pokemon are all deserving of this A+ rank. Even though there are 8 of them, they all earned their place up here. So Deoxys-Defense has always been an absolute beast of a defensive force in the 1v1 metagame. It has the Counter Coat set, and it also has the PP Stall set. Both of them are very, very good. It's incredibly hard to break this thing. It is an ultimate wall. Kartana, especially the Bandit set, absolutely decimates a whole lot of Pokemon in the 1v1 metagame. This thing is fast as hell, and it hits so stupidly hard, even though it's the base power of its moves aren't that great. Smart Strike, its main Steel-type stab, only has 70 base power, but this thing also gets access to Giga Impact, which is absurdly powerful in the 1v1 metagame. So Bandit Kartana, ridiculous base attack, hits like a tank. Specs Greninja has always been good. I didn't even bother talking about Ash Greninja because that only activates when you kill something. So regular Greninja, Spec set and Life Orb set also work really well. Still a very, very strong Pokemon. Mega Pinsir has received actually a huge buff this gen because of the way Megas now work. It used to be that you would have the speed of the non-Mega Pokemon on the turn that you'd Mega Evolve. So Mega Pinsir always had to run Protect in 1v1. Now it no longer has to because it gets the speed of Mega Pinsir on turn 1 of a battle. It now can run Quick Attack, Frustration, or Giga Impact, or Thrash, your choice, in addition to Close Combat, Earthquake, and Sword Stance. Basically just pick from those moves. Magearna is so unbelievably powerful. This thing is seriously pretty tanky. It's not a wall, it's not a tank, but it's bulky enough that it can take a hit and fire off a Specs Flare Cannon or a Specs Flash Cannon, and it's got some really good coverage with Thunderbolt and also Aura Sphere, so very, very powerful Pokemon. Porygon-Z has taken a little bit of a hit this gen because Custap Berry is unreleased, but it can take advantage of Z-Stones. It can use Z conversion with either Electrium Z or Ghostium Z to become an electric or ghost type, or it can just stick with Normalium Z and boost all of its stats in one turn. Of course, it can still fire off a crazy adaptability Hyper Beam, and it has options in Scarf and Specs. Tapu Koko and Tapu Lele are both extremely good right now. Tapu Koko basically just has an easy button, which is you click Gigavolt Havoc and you win. You run max speed, max special attack, Thunder, and then you just crank that Thunder up to 185 base power, 100 accuracy, breaks, protect. It's ridiculous. So yeah, Tapu Koko hits crazy hard, super powerful force in the 1v1 metagame. You really barely need any coverage other than like Hidden Power Ice for ground types, and then you have the opportunities to run Substitute, Taunt, Calm Mind, Nature's Madness, whatever you want. And then Tapu Lele is a little bit unpredictable because it can run a Scarf set, a Spec set, or a Psychium Z set. They're all very, very strong. This Pokemon is terrifying to play against. Moving on to A rank, we have Garchomp, who can viably run a Scarf set or a Band set. Both are good. I personally prefer Band. And one quick tip to Garchomp users, run Fling. Fling lets you beat Air Balloon Heatran, which is just really, really nice. It also helps you get past counter mons. So yeah, run Fling on your Garchomps. Genesect can run Scarf set, it can run a Spec set. This thing can run either special or mixed, and its downloadability generally nets it a lot of KOs. It's got coverage like crazy, and it's very fast, or 99 speed I think, and but still overall a very, very strong mon. Magnezone, currently, okay, so generally you'd use Custap Berry or Specs Magnezone, but now Custap is unreleased, so basically you're limited to Specs Magneton, Magnezone, my bad, but it still is incredibly powerful. Sturdy is such a useful ability in 1v1, you're always going to take a hit unless your opponent's got Mold Breaker, and you're always going to be able to fire off that Specs Thunderbolt. Mega Slowbro, as always, is a crazy defensive threat. It can tank just about any hit and heal up with Slack Off. It can boost its defensive stats with Calm Mind, Amnesia, or Iron Defense, and then it can fire off Scalds whenever it feels like it's ready. Can't be crit. Very, very strong Pokemon, hard to break. Meloetta, even though Perish Song was banned, it can still run a Spec set with Hyper Beam and Hyper Voice and Psyshock that absolutely decimates a whole lot of things in 1v1. Mimikyu is very, very interesting because Mimikyu has a lot of options. It can run a Ghostium Z set with Swords Dance, it can run a Fairyum Z set with Swords Dance, or it can run this weird Curse set with, let's see, it's got Curse, Citrus Berry, and then it runs Protect and Substitute, so it switches between the two and slowly whittles down your opponent's health in 4 turns. It can also run Shadow Sneak, so very, very unpredictable and powerful Pokemon. Mimikyu is definitely up there. And then we also have Necrozma, who's surprisingly bulky with his ability Filter, blocking that super effective damage. He can run Psychium Z, just nuke people with his psychic moves, or he can run a Calm Mind Moonlight set, which is also very hard to deal with. So for the A- rank, we have a lot of defensive threats, actually. Celesteela can run Leech Seed, Flamethrower, and Heavy Slam alongside Protect to stall out and otherwise mutilate a whole lot of threats. It can tank some crazy hits. Generally, this is run max HP, max defense, and it can Leech Seed stall stuff really well. You can also run Toxic on it if you want. Meanwhile, Chansey. You all know Chansey. You all know what Chansey does. It hits Thunder Wave, it hits Seismic Toss, you die. It also gets access to Counter and Toxic and Soft Boiled. It's a wall. If you can break it, you win. If you can't, you lose. I'm going to skip ahead. Pheromosa. It's a new Pokemon this gen. It's basically got the attacking stats of Deoxys attack, but its defensive stats are so lackluster that there's no way I can place the thing above A- rank since priority moves, especially Mega Pinsir, absolutely decimate this thing. It's not living any hits, and if it can't KO turn 1, it's going to die. Now, I want to talk about Jumpluff and Whimsicott together, because Jumpluff got a huge buff this gen with Gracium Z, which I'll get to in a second, because these two Pokemon basically do the same thing. They hit Leech Seed, and then they stall with Substitute Protect. Whimsicott's strategy, of course, Leech Seed turn 1, then spam Sub Protect, Sub Protect. It can also run Taunt, Encore, Moonblast, that kind of thing. So Whimsicott has always been a pretty good Pokemon. It's got some decent defensive stats that it can utilize to survive some hits. Whimsicott does not have the defenses of, Jumpluff doesn't have the defenses of Whimsicott, but it does have a crazy base 110 speed, and it has Gracium Z Sleep Powder. So a lot of people don't know this, but Gracium Z actually boosts the accuracy of Sleep Powder up to something ridiculous like 90%. So you're almost guaranteed to hit your Sleep Powder turn 1. Then you can hit Substitute, fire for Leech Seed, and then spam Protect, Sub, Protect, Sub, Protect, Sub till it whittles your opponent down. In the past, Jumpluff has worked with Zoom Lens, but now with Gracium Z, this thing is an absolute monster. It beats a whole lot of top threats like Charizard and Gyarados. You do have to watch out for stuff like Scarf Kyurem, but overall, you have to bring a counter to this thing, and if someone on the ladder's using it, you're going to get totally screwed. Now onto the B+ rank, starting off with Aegislash. Aegislash is as low as B+. It's actually very powerful, but it's super predictable. You know that this thing is going to be running Weakness Policy with King's Shield, Shadow Ball, Shadow Sneak, and Iron Head or Sacred Sword. It's generally always runs max HP, max special attack. Nothing really too interesting there. Beware, new Pokemon this gen. It can run Choice Band very, very well with moves like Hammer Arm, Superpower. It's got Giga Impact. So basically, it's like a bulkier version of Mega Lopunny, because this thing does have the ability Fluffy, which halves physical damage it takes, but doubles damage it takes from fire. So you do have to watch out for Charizard and stuff like that. But otherwise, surprisingly powerful Pokemon. Mega Gengar has always been good. It's crazy fast. It does crazy damage. It can utilize Will-O-Wisp, it can utilize Hex and Hypnosis, and you can also run the max HP, max defense counter set that I showcased in a previous video. Go check that out if you haven't already. That thing is a monster. We have Rhyperior. Rhyperior did take a hit this gen, again, because it was one of those Pokemon that could utilize the Endure Custap. Now you're basically forced into running either Rocky MZ or Choice Band or Assault Vest. But with Assault Vest, this thing can tank a Charizard Y Solar Beam. So, you know, this thing is still actually quite good. It's pretty tanky, and it does a whole lot of damage. Togekiss can viably run either a Scarf set or a Thunderwave Flinch set. Either way, it's spam and Air Slash and killing your Pokemon. Victini. Victini has a couple options. It can run a fast Scarf, a fast Band, or a bulky set with either Charcoal or Life Orb. And the advantages to running bulky is that you can also use you're not locked into a move, and you can finish off sturdy Pokemon with Quick Attack. So moving on to B rank, we have regular Gengar, and the reason the regular Gengar is B rank is because of Psychium Z. Now, Psychium Z, just like Gracium Z, it boosts the accuracy of Hypnosis super, super high. So you're almost always going to be hitting Hypnosis on turn 1. And then you can go ahead and fire off a Hex, set up a Substitute, Dark Pulse, whatever you want to do. So yeah, this thing, it puts its opponents to sleep. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Psychium Z and Gracium Z, after you put your opponent to sleep, you get a +1 speed boost. How ridiculous is that? Okay, moving on, Golem. Golem, it can't use Custap Berry, but it's still got its Weakness Policy set, so it's still very strong. Sturdy, gets knocked down, Weakness Policy activates, kills something with Earthquake. You guys know the drill. Heatran generally runs either Spec, Scarf, or Air Balloon. It's pretty tanky. It does a whole lot of damage. Not a whole lot else to say. Jirachi generally runs Scarf, Iron Head, Heart Stamp, Fire Punch, that kind of thing. Can also run Trick to shut down some tanks. Mega Blastoise is as good as always. It can run either Fake Out or Protect alongside Counter Coat. It can run offensive with Scald, Hydro Cannon, or Aura Sphere. And then, speaking of Aura Sphere, we've got Mega Lucario, who can run either Physical Special or Mixed. It's got Sword Stance, it's got Close Combat, Vacuum Wave, Bullet Punch. You guys know what Mega Lucario does. It's a pretty good force in 1v1. It's not A rank, but this thing can definitely dish out some damage. Then we've got Nihilego, who is pretty darn fast and is basically the bane of Charizard's existence. This thing has some pretty crazy stab, rock, and poison moves to use. And it's actually really strong on its especially defensive side, but it's so physically frail that I can't really place it higher than B rank. Snorlax has a couple of interesting sets it can run. It's got Belly Drum stuff. It's got a Curse set. It's got some really interesting stuff with those new berries, like Agawth Berry, that proc at 1/4 HP, but heal up to half. Snorlax with Gluttony, of course, can proc that at half health. So Snorlax is definitely very scary. It also has its Snorlium Z to throw off a powerful Z move. And then we've got Tapu Bulu, who can run a Banded set generally with Horn Leech / Woodhammer, to just do a crazy amount of damage to a whole lot of Pokemon, especially it basically melts through tanks, and you have the option to run a Scarf set with Stone Edge to take out stuff like Charizard, which is also very powerful. Alright, now on to B- rank. Now a lot of these Pokemon are really, really fun to use, even if they're not as powerful as some of the other Pokemon I've showcased here. But first of all, regular Diancie. This thing runs Weakness Policy, and it is so unbelievably bulky. This thing can take a hit from pretty much anything, and then just absolutely melt stuff with a +2 Moonblast. It's super underrated Pokemon. I think it definitely deserves at least a B-. Moving on, we've got Endeavor Ice Shard Donphan. This thing is extremely popular on the ladder. Some people run at level 100, some people run it less, so that you always get knocked down to 1 HP for the Endeavor. It also has, of course, Stab Earthquake, and it's got the option to run Rock'em Z Head Smash, which apparently is very strong. Mega Sableye took a huge hit this generation because it no longer gets the speed of regular Sableye's Prankster for turn 1. You don't have that Fire for Prankster Will-O-Wisp as you Mega Evolve thing anymore. You just have to go straight for the Mega Evolution. It's still decent because you can run, you've got Sucker Punch, you've got Will-O-Wisp, Recover, you've got Metal Burst, so this thing still can work, but not nearly as good. Last gen, I'd probably put this thing at A. Now it's definitely B-. Minior is, I think, underrated. This Pokemon has some pretty good potential with a Shell Smash White Herb set with Acrobatics and Stone Edge. People don't know this, but its non-Shields Down form is actually immune to status, so you can deal with status users a lot easier. So this thing is actually pretty powerful. And then Pyukumuku. Now, Pyukumuku, it was fixed. The bug was fixed with Innards Out, so you can no longer use the Innards Out set that automatically KO'd a Pokemon when it got knocked out, which was ridiculous and broken overpowered. If that was still in this thing, Pyukumuku would easily be A+ rank at least. Currently, it's B- because it still can utilize a very interesting set with the Agawth Berry, so at 1/4 HP it recovers a whole lot, and you can still run a very good Toxic Stall set with Counter. It's still a bulky mon. It can still whittle opponents down. It can still counter physical attackers, and with Unaware, you don't have to worry about people boosting up with Swords Dance, Dragon Dance, Belly Drum, that kind of thing. So it's actually still a viable Pokemon. I might even do a showcase on it in the future. But yeah, Pyukumuku is still decent, still B-. Now, the C+ rank. We're going to start off with level 1 Aaron. Shellbell is outclassed by Berry Juice. This thing runs Endeavor, it runs Toxic and Sandstorm, brings you down to 1 HP and then finishes you off with the status. It's decent, but of course it does get walled by stuff like Substitute and Taunt and things like that, so it's not really that great, but it can work for sure. Alolan Golem is completely outclassed by regular Golem. Alolan Golem, it does have that Electric Stab, which can be useful, but it does not get Sucker Punch, which is super, super useful in tandem with Sturdy, which is something that regular Golem utilizes very well. Alolan Golem can't do that. It's still Golem. It still gets Weakness Policy. You can still fire with an Earthquake or a Wild Charge, so it can still do damage. It's still effective, but just not as effective as regular Golem. Manaphy took a hit. It can't use its Custap set anymore, so you can still run a pretty good Tail Glow set or a Spec set or a Calm Mind set, but it's no longer got that fantastic Tail Glow Endure Surf set that it utilized very, very well in the past. Mega Venusaur, a whole lot of things were introduced that counter this pretty well. It can still work as either an offensive Pokemon with Giga Drain slash Sludge Bomb, but it works better as a Leech Seed tank. It is outclassed by some of the Subseeders I mentioned earlier, but it still can work. We have regular Swampert. Of course, Mega Swampert has not been released yet, but the regular Swampert can still put in some work as a countercoat user. If you use the Rindo Berry, you can tank a Zard Y Solar Beam and KO back with Mirror Coat, so this thing still can work. It can run Earthquake or Scald as an attacking move, so yeah, still viable. We also have Sylveon. Sylveon can viably run either Babiri Berry, Yawn Protect, or it can use Choice Specs, just fire off a Hyper Beam just straight off. This is still a pretty good mon. It doesn't have to worry about Mega Mawile anymore, which was one of its biggest checks. So yeah, there's definitely some potential with Sylveon. Tapu Fini is the least impressive of the Tapus as far as 1v1 is concerned. It's only set that it can really use as a Calm Mindset with potentially Waterium Z, but other than that, it's just not that great. And then we do have generally Specs Volcanion, which can definitely deal out some damage with its Steam Eruption and with its Fire Blast. But overall, it does get one-shot by a lot of stuff in the metagame currently. So for the C rank, we're going to start off with the Azumarill. At this point, these are only offensive. They run Huge Power, Belly Drum, or Choice Band, and hit things with Aqua Jet, Waterfall, Play Rough, that type of thing. Azumarill no longer has Perish Song to use, which probably would have boosted its rank before, but now it's basically confined to offensive, so it is stuck down to C rank. Buzzwole, it equips the Choice Band, and it hits things. Nothing really else to say about that. It's a pretty straightforward Pokemon. Dhelmise is actually really interesting because this thing is super, super bulky. It can take a lot of really unexpected hits and actually KO back, especially with like a Choice Band Gyro Ball set. Crazy, I know, but it works. Drampa and Goodra basically do the same thing, which is put on a Hobbenberry, tank an Outrage or a Drenko Meteor, and then KO back with their own. Very underrated Pokemon, especially Goodra. I think Goodra has some crazy special defense and some crazy coverage. I might do a full video on Goodra in the future, but it is actually an unexpectedly powerful Pokemon. Next up, we have Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee is one of the very few Endure users that didn't rely on Custap Berry because he does have his Unburden. He also has the option to run Fake Out, and yeah, so basically he uses Endure Reversal. It chunks a lot of stuff pretty hard, but it doesn't do all that much damage to place it higher than C rank. Mega Alakazam often runs the terrible Protect Encore Disable set, which just it's completely dealt with by using an attacking move turn 1 and then a different attacking move turn 2. So that set is just terrible, but it can run a full all-out attacking set and do a lot more work. Mega Scizor, there's nothing wrong with Mega Scizor. It's just a little bit outclassed, kind of in all respects, by a lot of other physical attackers in the tier. Like, Bug type just isn't that great offensively. Steel type is good defensively, but that 4x fire weakness isn't doing it any favors, especially in this tier populated by Charizards on every single team. Now moving on to C- rank, we have... Actually, I'm going to talk about Smeargle first. Smeargle, it beats things that it is faster than most of the time, is basically how that goes. If you're a grass type, it has to use Dark Void other than Spore, and it has to hope that you don't wake up before it can imprison and transform you. But otherwise, it does win if you have nothing to outspeed it. Alolan Muck is just a generally good Pokemon. It's got good stats, and it hits things pretty well with Dark and Poison coverage. It's only weak to ground, so you could potentially run an Air Balloon set alongside something like Choice Band. And this thing is really, really good at one thing, which is taking out the Tapus. An Assault Vest set absolutely brutalizes all of the Tapus. It can take a Tapu Koko, Gigavolt Havoc, and KO back with Gunk Shot, I believe. And yeah, it's just a decent Pokemon all around. Alolan Ninetales, the only reason I think Alolan Ninetales has potential is because it's got base 109 speed, so it outspeeds base 100s, and it can fire off Choice Specs 100% accuracy Blizzard. That's basically all it does. It has Stab Moonblast too, but other than that, that's pretty much it. And then Salazzle has some impact on the metagame as a fast special attacker that has the option to poison steel types, which is pretty cool. And then last and least, we have the D+ rank, which has our dearly beloved Araquanid, who has one of the best abilities in the game, but some of the worst stats to go with it. Choice Band Liquidation has some potential, but overall, this Pokemon just isn't that strong. It can throw off some pretty good Scalds. It can hit Lunge and drop an attack stat, but overall, this thing just doesn't have what it takes, I think, to match up with the rest of the tier. Same thing kind of with Golisopod. First impression just isn't powerful enough to take this thing any higher than D+. It has pretty decent coverage, and you don't have to worry about its ability hurting it, but its ability isn't helping it either. It does nothing, essentially, in 1v1. And while its attack and defense stats are pretty good, and its typing isn't half bad, it's still not going to be all that effective in the tier. And then we have the infamous Deoxys-Speed, whose only decent set, well, actually, not its only decent set, but the set that everyone uses, which is the terrifying PP stall set, gets shut down by anything that can just one-shot it. But if you let this thing set up a sub and then start sand attacking you, oh god, I hate it so much. It's super annoying if you let it get set up, but otherwise it's not really that much of a threat. It does also have a spec set that it can use sometimes, but again, that's not as powerful as a lot of other specs Pokemon in the tier, and its defenses are so paper thin that this thing isn't going to be doing all that much for you. So that about wraps up my 1v1 tier list for December 2016. If you guys have any disagreements, which I am sure you do, go ahead and post them in the comments. If you think I ranked anything too high or anything too low, or if I forgot anything, just let me know. I appreciate everyone's input, and I know that there are going to be disagreements. Just keep in mind, this is my tier list, obviously. I made this up. I got some input from some other 1v1 players, so this is coming from some people that play this tier a good amount. But this is not the law. This is just my opinion. So yeah, thanks a whole lot for watching, and I hope to see you next time.